Hey, Nick here. I wanted to come on and talk about nutrition. Not in nutrition in the way of macros and uh, all the details of breaking it all down, though I like that and I would do that. I'm thinking about potentially doing it, so if that's something that you would want me to either talk about or maybe offer, let me know, but we're not talking about that right now. Basically, it's more about nutrition for you and your awareness of nutrition. Do you even have it? So, example, if I were to ask you what makes you feel good, and not feel good like ice cream makes me feel good, but when I eat raisins before I work out, I feel like I have more energy. And I think that the awareness portion we kind of lack. Instead, we want someone to tell me what makes me feel good. If I said to you, eat raisins, but you've ate apples every day before you work out and you feel great, and I have you eat raisins and you feel horrible, and you say, but he told me to because that's what I need to make myself feel good because it makes him feel good. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for if you're exercising and you have body awareness, you can improve. If you have nutrition awareness, you can improve. So if there are things, and you should know what these things are, that make you feel bad, you should cut them out. And what I mean by cut them out is get them out of the house. Get them in a place where they don't need to be there because athletically, physically, aesthetically, it's not going to help you. And my goal and how I'm going to speak is more about an athlete, somebody who's looking to improve, and somebody who's just trying to aesthetically look better. And that's one of the biggest things that people ask me about. And that's something that's I feel pretty easy for people to actually attain because a lot of it comes back to that nutrition piece. And one thing to ask yourself is, are you doing everything you can? And most likely you're going to probably say, well, 80% of what I do is good and 20% is not. So the question you have to ask yourself is the 20% ruining the 80%? Is it that bad? Is what you're doing that bad? Because I would tell you my 20%, and you would look at me and say I'm crazy because my 20% is not that bad. There are days, throughout the year that it can be really bad. I acknowledge that. I think we all need to acknowledge that. You probably can acknowledge that. But it shouldn't be on a daily or a weekly basis where it's really bad. So the question would be, can you cut that 20% down to not as bad? And what it might look like is take that 80% and find the bad in your 80% of good and make that the bad part. So example might be if you go out and you eat ice cream on every single Wednesday and Saturday, but you double up on it, maybe cut that out because the other days you go and you have a sandwich at Jimmy John's. Well, maybe make that your new bad. So you have a Jimmy John's sandwich instead of the ice cream. Now, every other week or every once a week, every month you do the ice cream. And I say that purely because it's super simple, right? Like just don't do the really bad stuff because it's sabotaging what you're doing, especially if you tell me that milk is an issue. Well, you're like, well, I go and I eat it over at this place over here. I don't care. We're not trying to find the best of the worst. We're trying to eliminate. Because how things work is, and this is key, we have a homeostasis. You have a homeostasis of where you are based off of how you eat and how you train. So you train a certain way, you eat a certain way, and that has you looking a certain way. It's a byproduct. So you are a byproduct of what you have done, not what you're going to do. Not that you're going to do something. You will then get a byproduct after the fact. And it may take a lot more time than you're willing to put in. The goal is that when you are at your homeostasis, you've done something for long enough that you know that this is where my body sits. You have to find the worst 20% of what you're doing and make it better. So if you're training and you're lifting and you lift the same weight every single day, you have to expect that you are going to stay at the same strength every single day. There may be slight deviations, but the adaptation is basically set. Your homeostasis is where you are. You need to increase that weight. And then you will have a new homeostasis if you maintain it. But a lot of times what we do is we up our game and then we drop back down to where we were. So we start somewhere, we get better, and we go back to where we were. Now, it can also have the opposite effect where we were here, we go to here, we try to get back, we can't, we drop even lower, and it's a slow decline. What we're trying to do is have a slow incline. So that 20%, you need to look at what is the worst part of your training, what is the worst part of your nutrition. Now that may have to go with sleep, but as far as nutrition goes, you can find small areas that will make big impacts. Find the big things that you feel are the big holes in your nutrition game and take them out. I don't need to give you a macro plan. Literally 80% of what you're doing is probably really good. And you've done a great job to get yourself there. But what about that 20%? Where are the holes bigger? Now, no matter what, you're always going to have something that's not ideal. You're always going to have that 20%. But we want to make that 20% look like somebody's who you say, that's not even cheating. That's not even bad. You haven't eaten anything bad in like a year. But to that person, that was bad. Because their 20% has gotten so high and the quality is so good that feels like your bad 20%. So we want to constantly be improving on what we're doing, but don't look at what's the best thing that you're doing and make that better. Look at what's the worst thing that you're doing and make that better. And what you'll start to see is if you make the back end improve, your front end will improve. And I think a lot of times we try to go and take the biggest thing that we can possibly do to make the biggest, what we believe, bang for our buck, and it backfires on us. Whereas I think the biggest bang for your buck is going to be in the back end itself, that bottom feeder, that horrible piece that we can take out and just nudge us forward. And then those big things will start to happen and we can see them. So as far as nutrition goes, I really want to have you think about trying to improve on the things that you're not doing or that you wish you could be doing, but just small tweaks. As far as breaking everything down, I mean, same thing with macros. You can probably see like maybe you're eating too much at one sitting. Yeah, you're getting in your macros, but it's too much right there. So we really could break this all down. So if you have any questions and you want to maybe see where that might be in your life, if you like break things down, I would say spend an entire week of finding out what it is that you do. So write a journal. You should be tracking everything, at least for sake of measuring and seeing where we are. But I really want to see you guys improve, and I'm always trying to find that 1%. And sometimes that 1% is actually looking back and trying to improve. Because again, we are a byproduct of what we do. And if we want ourselves to improve, we need to improve in order to then see it happen. It's not going to happen because we think about it. It's not going to happen because we want it, because somebody else tells us how to do it. It's literally going to happen when it happens. And if we are in the moment of where we think we are there, we're not. We have to look back and we'll know. You can always connect the dots looking back. So I am where I am because of what I've done. You are where you are because of what you've done. What are you going to do to get even better? Or what are you going to do just to be a little bit happier? Like, what makes you happy? What makes you feel good? Do more of that. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. You can subscribe to any of this stuff that I'm doing now. I'm trying to create some more content. Would love to hear any feedback that you have. Please shoot me a message. Maybe even if it's something where you're like, hey, I don't agree. I think that you're an idiot. Well, sometimes I am. So have a great one, and I'll see you guys soon.